My name is Amjad Abbashar. I'm the Chief of the Regional Office for Africa of UNDRR. In many ways, Africa is at the forefront of change when it comes to disaster risk reduction. Africa is home to half of the world's most risk-prone countries and is experiencing a rising number of disasters, including those associated with climate change. COVID-19 has brought to vivid life the concept of systemic risk, and it showed how risk drivers can overlap and interact with each other. Good risk governance is critically important, as we are in real danger of not achieving the Sendai framework targets for reducing disaster losses. And we know that nothing undermines sustainable development like disasters. UNDRR supports member states in strengthening their risk knowledge and to help them set the stage for risk-informed development. This can be done through improved collection of loss and damage data, support to conducting risk assessment, and scenario-based assessments of DRR capacity, including, for example, through risk profiles that are complemented by DRR economic analyses. The Sendai framework, the internationally agreed guide for disaster risk reduction actions, has 7 global targets, one of which is the target for reducing loss of life. And there is another target for substantially increasing the availability of and access to multi-hazard early warning systems and disaster risk information. Ensuring that early warning systems apply a multi-risk dimension and include new and emergent risks is a critical requirement and is central to disaster risk reduction efforts. The DRR community in Africa also recognizes and calls for increasing private sector engagement in disaster risk management that is coupled with investments in DRR. Such an approach will allow members to build and foster resilience and promote prosperous businesses. Public-private partnerships can help manage risks, reduce risk, and limit the creation of new risk. One challenge in Africa is that we are more reactive than proactive to disasters. Extensive risks manifest as large numbers of recurrent low to medium severity disasters, which are mainly associated with localized hazards such as flash floods, landslides, urban flooding, storms, and fires. Countries that build and maintain detailed loss databases could use this technique to produce proxy risk maps, which can be useful representations of recurrent and localized hazards such as weather-related or biological hazards, even at a low level of resolution. UNDRR also provides member states with guidance on improving resilience considerations in financial contexts and is exploring how its stress test methodology may allow for improved risk modeling and evidence-based fiscal policies that are key steps to develop disaster risk reduction strategies and mechanisms to transfer risk, as well as preparedness efforts to respond to disasters. In sub-Saharan Africa, by the end of 2020, nearly 21.8 million people across the region were internally displaced as a result of conflict and violence, the highest figure on record so far. While there were also record rainy seasons, disasters, mainly floods, triggered 4.3 million new displacements across the region. Disasters often overlap with conflict in sub-Saharan Africa to trigger new and repeated displacement that in many cases becomes protracted. Tropical cyclones are becoming more common off East Africa. Repeat, tropical cyclones are becoming more common off East Africa as sea surface temperatures rise, allowing more frequent and more severe cyclones to form. Reconstruction and recovery in Africa is very costly, and it can reverse development gains. Systemic risk might be easy to mitigate early on. However, failure to identify the underlying drivers of systemic risk will allow small risk to grow into major problems, increasing the opportunity costs of failed interventions and missed opportunities. In addition, biological hazards such as pandemics need to be integrated in disaster risk reduction and development planning and programming, including the development of national and local disaster risk reduction strategies. In Africa, many countries have signed up to global agendas and frameworks for disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, of course, sustainable development goals. However, there is a need for greater coherence among them to avoid duplication and to achieve maximum gains. Local communities are most at risk, and they're also the first responders and need to be capacitated. They must be enabled to participate, influence, and take decisions on risk-informed development policies and practices. They have critical knowledge and experience of the threats they face and their consequences, as well as the actions which can help to reduce risk. At the same time, local CSOs should have the capacity to lead and be accountable to communities most at risk. As noted by the recent push of the Global Assessment Report, which we call the Special Report on Drought for 2021, which we call the Special Report on Drought 2021, shifting to integrated, multi-hazard, and systemic risk management approaches is essential for prospective and proactive risk reduction. Risk preventative action has far lower human, ecological, and financial costs than waiting for the risk to manifest and then reacting and responding to that shock. Thank you for your attention.